When we have fractions, we really can think of fractions as only a numerator and a denominator. And we can think of fractions as times on top and divide on bottom. And to figure out where each factor goes, we just have to determine whether it's times or a divide factor. So we can take a look at example 1 here. And if I take a look at the factors a, b, c in this expression, we just have to decide whether the a is a multiplication in the numerator or a is a division in the denominator. And we can just put this all under one fraction, where times is on top and divide is on bottom. So here the a is only in a numerator of a numerator. That means it is a times factor. When we take a look at the b, well, it's under one divisor right there. So we can just think of that as a divide. So that's a divide by b. Same with c. It's under one divisor. So it is in the denominator like this. So we can simplify this and by putting the b and the c together in the denominator. And we could also justify this by looking at this and saying, well, we have a over b. And then we can multiply by, when we divide by c, we can say multiply by the reciprocal, which is 1 over c. And that will give us a over bc. Okay, so looking at the next example here, we can do it two different ways. One way is to think of it as times or divide. So a is times. It's in the numerator, so it's times. B is under one divisor, so it's divide. But C is under two divisors. It's under that divide and that divide. So divide, divide really means multiply, so that ends up in the numerator. So we end up with AC over B. And again, we can justify this. We can write this as A over 1 divided by, so we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. The reciprocal of B over C is C over B. And that's going to give us AC on top and the B on the bottom, which is what we got by organizing our times with divide. Here's another example here where we can just determine whether the factors are times or divide. The A is a multiplying factor, so it ends up on top. C is under one divisor, so we're going to put that on the bottom. B is under one divisor, so we're going to put that on the bottom. The C is under this divisor and this divisor, so it's a divide, divide, so it should end up here. And if that's the case, we can cancel these out, and we end up with A over B. Okay, so there's lots of strategies here, so if you recognize this, we can actually just cancel those out, and we end up with A over B that way. Another way to justify this is, and this is a different strategy, it's a very useful strategy, is, so I start with A over C, over, that's my main divisor, B over C, and what I can do is, I can clear out the divides with a multiply in the numerator, and a multiply in the denominator. If I do that, I'm really just multiplying by C over C, which is 1, so it doesn't change anything. But this times and divide cancel out. This times and divide cancel out. And that ends up giving us A over B. So this would be another strategy. So one on the left-hand side, I've just shown checking for times and divide and putting the times on top, divide on bottom. Another strategy, in particular when we have divides, is we can clear out divides with times, but as long as we balance the numerator and denominator, we won't change the fraction. So in this case, because we can cancel out a divide in the numerator and a divide in the denominator, we end up having a C over C, which is balancing the main fraction there.